Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of episode 4 of Moth-Light.
So we've just escaped into the basement of this building with moths above us scrabbling at the earth. We can maybe hear sounds of them echoing around these halls below us, but we're out of the immediate danger. And in this moment of relative safety, at least, we have two different groups who will soon be reunited with one another. But for this moment, I would love to get the immediate reactions of people as they escape into this basement. Both of which include Seer, because Seer is split in two. So let's check in on Sequa and Dog Seer, as we're referring to it for the moment. Seer, as I was saying, the version of you that just has had enough of this shit, you were just rowed to safety by Sequa, the individual who has maybe been making you question some things, and has been giving you all a hard time.
The second we're in relative safety, I shake her off. Dump her unceremoniously onto the floor.
Yeah.
And belatedly say, well, at least one of us is useful.
And I think that's when, like, Sequa just kind of sighs and gets up, dusts off her pants, and says, "Fair point. Then again, I don't have to take on another body to deal with my own issues. But,
right, you just don't deal with your issues at all.
You know, I have some issues. Everyone has them. But I don't let that interfere with how we work together."
Cue the sound of like a dog digging, kind of a sound, like the snuffling and like earth moving like far a ways above you, and maybe like a arc of a beam of light behind you just like appearing kind of in the background.
Come on, let's find the others.
They're right there. Question.
Yeah.
I'm asking in character, sorry. Can you sense it?
Sense what?
The being that you are possessing its body of.
Yeah, it's in here. It wants the scroll.
Anything else?
It's pretty simple.
Can I talk to it?
I don't think it can talk.
Does it feel sick?
I might interject and say, and Sequa, tell me if I'm wrong, but Seer, you might know that basically what Sequa means is like absorb its knowledge, like, you know, read its mind, like she's done so many times before to these kinds of things. And like you have been afraid of her doing to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's avoiding it, the question.
Does it feel sick? And I think Sequa just steps closer.
Yeah, I'm almost imagining Seeker with like a hand out raised, like to touch it,
No.
you, kind of a thing.
I said I
No?
would not touch Seer without his permission,
Okay.
so I am not doing that while he possesses this body. I have to ask permission.
Seer growls, and all of the like feathers on the back rise.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Just no."
I will take you at your word. But if you feel sick at any point, even if it's just the body of which you possess at the moment, please let me know. I need to check on Volt because he was absolutely right. That moth was, and then a bunch of profanities as she walks off
Right.
to go tell Volt about it.
Yeah. Maybe we can hear at this moment like noise from Ketu in your group as we travel over to them to check on you. You find yourself in this basement. The basement is similarly like overgrown and stuff, but I think there's less soil here. There's more of the original structure, and we can maybe even see the outline of like machinery or tools or what have you. Maybe even some furniture, kind of a stuff like molded and disintegrated, but it looks more like what we would expect the insides of the building to look. There's even like clearly some kind of console that's been overrun with mold and stuff on one corner, maybe even with a few blinking lights and stuff, like still just lightly glowing through the debris.
I think Bolt is definitely breathing a sigh of relief, being enclosed and underground. Always a safer choice. Maybe not thinking through all the possibilities of like maybe we can't get out of this place.
Yeah.
Exactly. But definitely like, all right, this was a wise decision, Ketu. And if Ketu's not like dragging Volt along, I think Volt will definitely try to see if he can do anything with the machines or the consoles around here.
As you approach them and like you put your hand near them, they actually do light up a little bit. It's like nonsensical because a lot of whatever it's trying to display is smudged with dirt and muck and that kind of stuff. But if you like wipe it away, you can kind of see that maybe this is like a control station for all the functions of the building, which maybe it's just flashing a glowing orange at this point after everything is basically disconnected or destroyed. But there might be some other functionality here you could eke out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Volt's first intuition would definitely be to try to like see at least see if there's anything to glean from interacting with it.
Gather some info for me.
Sure. So I believe it is going to be Dabble, probably.
For you, since that's kind of your flavor of interacting with this stuff, yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think my ability. I have Artificer now, so I can tinker with and interact with tech I do not fully understand.
Correct.
But that's not necessarily going to modify or do anything to this, from my understanding. Yeah.
Not unless you get in its guts.
Sure. Start trying to take something apart.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So yeah, I'll try to gather information, and that's going to just be 3 dice for me. With a high of 5.
So ask me a leading question, and I will give you a straightforward answer that will play into that leading question.
So I would try to ask it, I guess, like, where's our location? Or, like, is that a decent
Yeah,
sized question.
it brings up the like Google Maps essentially like version of the city. It's
Mm,
actually interesting because while Ketchu has a map of what this place is like now, this is essentially a map of of like all the structures, all the buildings around you, that kind of a stuff. And you get a pretty clear representation, like that you could compare to Ketu's map, essentially. So you could get detailed information about any locations on Ketu's map, like what it originally was, what kind of structures are there.
what might be left behind.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll call Ketu over immediately. Just kind of
Yeah.
gesture to the screen. And I'm just like, you had some squares, right? This one and the triangle, and he's trying to like get you to bring out the map.
Yeah. Ketu gets out the map and like puts it over the screen.
Sure.
I like that.
Tracing paper.
And it like fits perfectly, like it doesn't fit perfectly, but there's a clear like overlap of shapes of like the city and maybe a street or whatever or two that line up. And I think the spot that you have marked as like where you're going to, Ember Wish's sanctuary, essentially. I think on the map, it's originally noted as like City Hall or something. Some kind of governmental building like that. And you can definitely, if you want, add some more details that we don't have to go over to your map, but we just know, like, if you want to use your map in the future, you have some additional details from this one. But I think the other thing that you find, Vault, that I'll kind of give you for the building is, while a lot of the systems are no longer connected to this control panel, there are some emergency options. So like maybe some very basic versions, like certainly the sprinklers aren't going to work anymore.
Right.
But like maybe, the fire alarm might, or that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a map of the building. Like maybe even whenever you bring up the map, you click on the building you're in and it like zooms in to like the blueprint of it or something.
Sure, yeah. And I think that's what Volt was kind of like getting at while asking poorly. He was kind of looking more like the mall scale map, like where am I in this building?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he probably pulls that up, but trying to see if it has any sort of if it's just a blueprint, you know what I mean, or if it has more of like detection, like if it knows where.
No. Oh, like if it can tell what's still intact.
Yeah, or like if there were motion sensors in the building or something at one point, like knowing that there's something in a different room, or you know what I mean.
You ask it that, and it brings up a prompt like, shall we update the schematics?
Volt will tentatively just kind of like make sure that map's not too close to it. I don't know why I would want that, but and he goes to hit yes.
Yeah, I think you misinterpret it, but what it does is like there's a moment like loading, and slowly like this blue kind of map that's on the screen will be updated with orange bits where it's like it's exhibited trauma. The building has experienced trauma, or it's been broken or something, and like it just becomes like from this pristine kind of blueprint, it just goes into like a Swiss cheese of like this mostly destroyed structure. But where you are, you can see that there's still some paths. In fact, there's another. There should be like a basement connection to another building up the road that is mostly still intact. There's some like orange bits there, but you don't know what that means. But it's like not all in like red or whatever.
Sure.
And to set the scene for you, you look around and it's like very dark in here. Like it's pretty much only lit up by whatever shafts of light are coming in from the sides, or by the screen at this point. But you can tell whatever you carry as well. Certainly, any lights on Seer or either Seer, I guess, would also probably be lighting this place up. And maybe that's where Nichelle and Danielle, where you two kind of come into the scene, is like seeing the light of this console and walking towards the rest of the group.
I do have a question just to verify. Has the other seer stated anything?
No.
Or has Noman been the only one talking?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know if that's we don't know if that's significant. It's up to Danielle. But.
Okay.
Well, I think, yeah, Ketu sees this one tunnel, and like looks at the computer and like asks the computer, like, computer, what are there more tunnels?
Computer, Siri, it checks, and no, that's the only one that is still structurally sound. Yeah. Basically, a maintenance shaft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. Looks like that's our way out of here. Probably.
Cue the sound of something falling and not making like a crashing sound, but like a thwomp kind of a sound in the background, and maybe some like clicking that feels a little uncomfortably close, like bouncing off of the interior walls of the structure.
I'd like to look to Ketu for just a moment. Volt like kind of looks down to him and he's like, they don't, were you attracting their attention, or how do they do with loud noises? The moths.
Attracting their attention. I wasn't trying to attract their attention.
Well, it attracted away from us.
Oh, you mean before? Yes. Well, they're quite sensitive to sound, so we sling some of these marbles here,
And Volt just says, or, and he'll try to activate whatever alarm he can on there.
You do so, and we hear a dull like ringing in the distance. Maybe we look over to whatever into the corridor where like one of these juvenile creatures has fallen down. I think it has like a long, to continue kind of the dog theme, this one actually has like a long snout, like maybe dog / alligator, like with like rows of eyes on either side, just like red orbs kind of pockmarking its head. And when it hears that, like it's navigating the debris, but when it hears that, it looks up, and there are others above it who also are looking away and kind of move away from you towards whatever that alarm sound is. So you've bought your group a little bit of time.
And do we see Sequa and the dog?
Probably.
Okay.
I imagine Dog Seer is giving off some kind of light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't know how much you gathered from the previous situation, but probably what you see is Dog Seer stalking towards you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. And I definitely think Volt would just be kind of like, who is making these things? Where are they coming from? And he kind of like, I don't know, maybe
you
like
take like a defensive stance kind of
yeah,
thing?
puts a console between him and it.
Yeah. And then as it gets closer, you see that Sequa is also there beside it.
And I look back to Volt. It's like, well, you can ask these questions later, but we need to leave.
So this is maybe a good chance to kind of make our escape, and I might suggest to navigate these tunnels. It's not going to be completely safe. These things are going to be like tracking you potentially, so there is the potential for some more chasey kind of a scenes here, depending on how we do. Ketchu, would you say you're leading people in some kind of group role in this situation?
Sure.
Okay. What do you think that would be?
Probably whisper. We're sneaking away.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect one for this. To which point you would have standard effect in terms of like you would get this done. But there is plenty of danger, so there is some potential for I think risky at this point consequences, since you kind of made some distractions and have put some space between you and the rest of the danger. I think that the risky consequences here are kind of what you might expect from a chase, like maybe some harm, maybe some delay, or like essentially this actually might be a good place for lesser effect as well, on top of any other consequences, to kind of add some tension to a chase if you don't roll well. So those are the kind of consequences I'm thinking. Who's going to join you in this role?
I think Volt is definitely trying to help. At the very least, like being more familiar, like underground, or like how tunnels normally are built, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sequa will be assisting, but probably by going through potentially Katu's bag and pulling out some random gizmo toy, like one of those like little robot dogs or something that just like makes noise or something like that, and just like sending it on like down a different tunnel or something.
Is that okay with you? Yeah, is that okay with you, Ketu?
Yeah, do I mark the supply?
You're going to need to mark supply.
Okay, sure. I like it, though.
How old it just holds it up and is like, how old are you now? Is this sentimental?
Is this sentimental? I like that.
Is this sentimental to you? Okay, cool. Take a good, kind of like a parrot. Like, take a good long look at it. Sends it off on its way.
I like that the build of the scene is like, first you pry open these old ancient doors that you could barely tell from the wall at first because they're so dusty, and then you're like in the shaft of like a structure, navigating. Do you turn right? Do you turn left? That kind of a thing. You saw the map, so maybe you have some idea. But there's debris occasionally blocking you, and you have and at one point you see shadows behind you of these creatures, and that's maybe when Sequa like sets off the robot, the little tiny toy, in one direction, and you guys go a different direction. I like that. But to see if you actually escape them, let's do this roll. So, Ketchu, go ahead and take up dice appropriate to your whisper rating, to your prowess rating, and everyone who's going to be a part of this roll, knowing that you will also risk consequences, take up one or fewer dice.
Yeah. So who's group rolling? Who's assisting? Sequa's assisting me,
Volt is joining, and Sequa.
I am assisting because I don't have any dots in that, and I don't think that Sequa would necessarily roll for it.
All right.
You'd be a follower in this circumstance. Okay.
Yep.
What did you get, Volt?
I rolled a 1. I'm good at it.
I rolled a 2, a 3, and a 3.
Oh no! You aren't having the Danielle luck today.
No. And goodness gracious.
Don't
Sequa
throw the dice
normally
back.
rolls well, but I haven't rolled yet, so.
Yeah, but I will resist whatever the guts.
Well, Nichelle, you don't roll because you just helped.
Yeah.
But you do take a stress.
Yes, I did.
And Ketchu, you take 2. As your little play with the robot, with the little machine, toy, I guess, works. We hear like sounds running off in that direction for a moment, and we think we're out of the frying pan as we approach what looks like a door on the other side that looks like the one you just came out of. It looks like it exits into this other building they've been going to. When I think you pass under this there's like a high ceiling here, and you pass under a part of it, and there's just, you don't realize until it's too late, this part is just open above you, and something is like looking down at you, and it reaches a hand in and tries to smash you, right? You like maneuver people around it, but this is now happening like all around you, and both of you, unless you want to resist, I'm gonna put a level 2 harm in your direction. I think, like, what's a good one? I like to name my harm a little more dramatic than they actually are. I think like crushed might be appropriate here, with like you're bonked. You're bonked on the shoulder or the head or whatever by something heavy. What do? Do you guys want to resist that?
Yeah, I'll resist.
Okay.
Okay. So narratively, since you're applying the harm
To both of you.
it's not necessarily sticking around. Like, this thing kind of like reaches in and tries to claw at it, but doesn't just like stay right there.
This is the cat reaching its hand into something to
Right.
try and catch you, and that kind of a thing is happening right now. So it probably, the consequence here isn't that it actually catches you; it's that you get hurt, which is to say, like, this falling debris all around you is going to smash you. Ketchu, what did you get on your resistance roll? How much stress did you take?
A 1, which is enough to give me a mark.
That's all you needed? Wow.
Yep.
Volt, are you going to resist, or are you going to take a level 2 harm?
I'm going to take the level 2. I'm going to get bonked.
Yeah. Debris falls on you, and we can see this thing's hand like scraping like closer towards you. It's like reaching, trying to feel around for you, and everyone else is ahead of you. Kedu, you come away with just some scrapes, which you should put on level 1 harm, so like scrapes and bruises or something. So you managed to get out of the way of most of it, but Sequa and Seer, you all are ahead, and you hear this, fall. Volt, you probably exclaim something whenever you hit, right? And you look back, and Volt is on the ground, and Seer's just barely escaped. Sorry, Ketchu has just barely wandered away from being crushed. What do you do? The exit is just ahead.
Birdseer goes back for Volt.
Yes.
Um,
That's going to be dangerous. Yeah, that's going to be dangerous to rip them out of harm's way, right?
mhm.
How do you do it?
I think it's just trying to get to him and support him enough to be able to maneuver us like over to a side almost, where it's a little harder to get at, and then just dodge.
I like that. So is that a maneuver roll?
I think so.
Yeah. Standard effect. If you do it, you do it. Consequences here might be continued. More harm kind of coming your way as this thing again is like feeling around trying to get you.
Question: is this mechanical or organic creature?
Organic. This is
Organic.
a moth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
5.
You rescue Volt from just barely being crushed, and you think you're escaped, but this thing has many hands, and one of them just plummets to the floor. It doesn't smash you, it doesn't squish you, but the two of you go flying. And I'm going to put just a level 1 harm coming each of your way. Actually, no, that's too soft. I'm being soft. Sometimes I have a tendency to be soft. Level 2 harm. You can resist this if you want, to both of you. But you did manage to get Volt out of harm's way. It's just like you go careening against walls, basically. So
Okay, so is this just harm for me or for both of us?
just for you.
Okay.
Just for you.
I will take it.
Okay. Yeah, I like the idea that maybe you just get him, Volt, out of the way when this thing smacks you. So, rent, I think, like a tear, torn maybe. Maybe you could even write torn as a level 2 harm.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sequa, as she sees Seer do this, she's going to take a closer look at the exit, make sure where Katu is.
Yeah.
The other Seer, like, is everyone else okay? He's got that one.
Yeah, you're like pulling at the door to make sure everyone can get out of there.
Yes, but I would like to flash back to a previous scene.
Absolutely. Where to?
I want to go back to where we meet up with the group, essentially at the console table, and essentially as everyone starts filing into the passageway, I want to essentially have Seer the bird, and I want to ask if he is doing okay, because he's been completely silent during this entire thing.
So we flash back to a conversation you have as you were leaving this area. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no stress for that so far.
He sounds a little distant and disoriented. Like if you're talking to someone who's dissociating. But after you kind of like grab his attention, you kind of watch his eyes focus on you. And he says, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Do you feel alone? Without him.
Without who?
He just looks over at Nomen.
Are you testing to see like how much Seer is aware of? Yeah.
He says, "No, I feel stretched."
Just know we're here for you. Oh, sorry, he's a smart ass compared to you. Just wanted to let you know.
I do actually want, Daniel, I am curious, since we've kind of implied that maybe there's like kind of two people that kind of make up your personality, essentially. We don't know how yet. Does your voice change in any way that kind of implies the personality of what's left in this body, or anything like that?
There is less assurance, confidence, less dodging, if that makes sense, in terms of what he says. More straightforward. Right.
That's true. Seer will answer questions, but is always kind of flippant a little bit with some of the answers that you give. Yeah, I like that.
But I don't think the voice necessarily, like the
Mhm.
the timbre of it, I don't think that's necessarily different. But I think the mannerisms are just a little different.
I think I'll ask one more question and then we can flash forward to present.
Mhm.
Because I think this is kind of like going through Sequa's mind as she's watching Seer assist Bolt. Do you want to stay like this? Or would you prefer to remain together?
I feel like this would be hard to sustain.
I won't pry. I mean, I think we just kind of like flash forward to present.
She says after prying.
And calling your half of you a smartass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when you just kind of come back into the present. Sequa's essentially like making sure everyone's getting through the door.
Mhm. You all escape in this moment. Like this is we kind of can play with time a little bit here, but you file into this other building, and the creatures are mostly focused on this other, not on this spot, and you're able to kind of escape out of the other side of this structure. And we maybe see a short montage of you all continuing your journey, maybe a little more carefully and desperately now, trying to get space between you and this attack. But eventually, we have kind of a repeat where we come to, some kind of shelter. Ketu, what do you lead people to on this night?
It's bowling alley.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like that. Another kind of like long underground bunker kind of a feel to it. You lead them here, and there's a moment of peace tonight, as we potentially enter another downtime phase. And I would love to hear in a minute, Ketu, what mark you've taken and how that looks on your character. But as an added little thing here, the bowling alley, I think much like modern bowling alleys, these ones have a prominent thing. Here are these big screens, above each lane. And there's one as you're resting that just kind of like, you almost can't, it's very subtle, but it kind of just starts to kind of come on, and there's just this soft glow. It's just like black, right? But you start to be able to see like, wait, there's light. Light is coming off of it. And then there's like an outline, and then suddenly the picture clarifies. It's fuzzy. Ketu, you recognize in the backdrop of the Ember Wish's sanctum, and while you can't make out like features, there is like the Ember Wish is, you assume who the Ember Wish based on like what they're wearing is there, and they just say, Ketu, we're coming for you. Stay where you are.
That's not reassuring at all.
I'll try to respond. Like, I'll ask, like, how long will you be?
My people are just a day out. Stay safe. Don't move.
All right, and I'll ask. I'll ask how the cherry tree is doing. Expecting a particular answer.
It's in bloom.
And is that what I'm expecting?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, but Ketu, it's not all comforting. there is something different about like the voices scramble, slightly, that out of focus kind of thing. But it's not like you can't. If you're looking to recognize the voice, you don't. They have all the right answers, but there is something off about this voice slightly. It's not like it's maybe not enough to make you doubt that this is who it is, because this is exactly what you would expect from the Ember Wish, to just like see you from miles away, to like spot you through some camera lens or something and like know that you're coming. Like this is exactly within their wheelhouse. But there is something odd about the figure that you see and maybe the voice. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah,
So we can get into montage mode unless you guys have immediate stuff to roleplay. But Seer, if you want to stay split into two bodies, you can. Otherwise, tell me like what happens. But I think it's interesting that you're kind of split right now. So I'm fine with letting you just be that for a while.
Do we want to take a break before this downtime?
That's a good question.
It's been a little less than an hour.
Yeah, I'm
good.
good to take a short little break.
Okay.
It's about 10 minutes before we did it last time, so we'll be good.
Yeah, let's take a short break, and we will wrap up our game and see maybe see the Ember Wish's stronghold after this break.
Cool. We'll be right back then.